Captain Elias Varine adjusted the collar of his uniform. As the massive doors of the Zithirian palace slid open, his heart raced, but he reminded himself to stay calm. He had visited many alien worlds before, but the Zithirian court was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was a place of history, of power, and of danger hidden beneath layers of elegance. The court was waiting for him. The palace itself was a masterpiece of alien architecture. Towering crystal spires reflected the light of the twin suns outside, scattering it into 1,000 rainbow patterns across the smooth floors. Strange symbols were etched into every wall, glowing softly as if alive. The air was scented faintly with alien flowers, a smell that was at once sweet and strange. Elias took a deep breath. Every step forward made the floor hum beneath his boots. A reminder that he was not on human soil anymore died at the heart of the palace. He entered the great hall, where the Zithirian rulers had gathered. The hall was enormous, high enough to hold 3 of his starship hangars stacked on top of one another. The ceiling glimmered like a night sky, though it was solid, a tapestry of light and colors beyond anything a human could produce. At the far end, sitting on a throne of polished metal and crystal, was Queen Myrrah. She radiated authority. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver, and her eyes held a depth that made Elias feel small. The court was silent as he entered. Zithirians of all ranks, nobles, scholars, military leaders stood around the hall, their bodies tall, slender, and elegant. Each movement was precise, deliberate. Their faces, though alien, held intelligence and a sharpness that spoke of a civilization far older than humanity. Elias could feel their eyes on him, curious, evaluating, and perhaps judging him. He stepped forward, keeping his posture straight, though his mind raced. He had been called here to discuss interstellar peace, an important diplomatic mission. Humans and Zithirians had had tense relations for decades, mostly due to misunderstandings and fear of each other's strength. Elias had spent months preparing for this meeting, studying their culture, learning their history, trying to anticipate every possible outcome. Yet, nothing could have prepared him for what happened next. From the side of the throne, a small figure stepped forward. Elias noticed immediately that this child was unlike any Zithirian he had ever seen. Their skin had a faint golden hue, and their eyes large, intelligent, and familiar in a way he couldn't explain looked directly at him. The child's voice rang out clearly, startling everyone in the hall. "Father." The word echoed through the great hall. Silence fell. Not a whisper, not a breath. Even the light seemed to pause. Every Zithirian present turned toward Elias, their expressions a mixture of shock, disbelief, and something else - respect. Elias froze. "Father," he asked, his voice trembling slightly, I think you have the wrong person." But the child simply smiled. There was a certainty in their eyes, an unshakable belief that this human standing before them was, indeed, their father. Queen Myrrah leaned forward, her expression unreadable. Her hands rested lightly on the arms of her throne, and she regarded Elias with a combination of expectation and caution. "Child," she said, her voice calm but commanding, "tell us who this man is to you." Kiro, the child's name, as he would soon learn, looked at the queen, then back at Elias. "He is my father," Kiro said simply, with no hesitation, as if stating the most obvious fact in the universe. A murmur ran through the court, quickly silenced by the queen's raised hand. Elias's mind raced. How could this be possible? He had never met this child before. No one had told him that he had a child among the Zithirians. He felt a mix of fear, confusion, and curiosity. Queen Myrrah's gaze remained steady. "Prophecy," she said. The single word carried weight. She looked at Elias directly. The text spoke of a bridge between worlds. Perhaps the prophecy is closer to reality than we imagine. Elias swallowed hard. "Prophecy?" he asked. I don't understand." The queen rose slowly, her tall frame towering above the court. Her presence was commanding, but there was a gentleness in her movements when she approached Kiro. She bent slightly, addressing her child. "Tell him, Kiro, tell him who you are." Kiro's small hand reached for Elias's, and he felt a strange warmth, a connection that defied logic. "I was born to bring worlds together," the child said. I am the bridge. You are my father, and together we must help everyone understand each other. Elias looked around the hall. The Zitharians, once skeptical, now watched with a mix of awe and curiosity. The court understood that something unusual, something important, had begun here. He did not feel fear anymore, but a sense of responsibility, heavier than any weight he had carried in his life. He knelt slightly, keeping his voice calm. If what you say is true, Kiro, then I will do everything I can to help you, to protect you, and to guide you. Kiro smiled. Then we will do it together, Father. For a moment, the court was silent again, and then a soft murmur spread like a wave. Some whispered in approval, others in disbelief. Yet, one thing was clear. The bond between Elias and Kiro was real, and it was recognized by everyone present. Queen Myrrh returned to her throne, her expression thoughtful. The human accepts this role, she said quietly. Let it be known that the bridge between worlds may finally walk among us. Elias stood fully, feeling the weight of those words. He had been prepared for politics, for negotiations, for threats, but never for this. He looked at Kiro, standing small but confident beside him. The child's gaze was unwavering, and Elias realized that the future of this mission, and perhaps the future of both civilizations, depended on them. The council began to discuss the details of what this connection might mean. Some Zitharians questioned whether a human could truly take part in their traditions, while others argued that Kiro's choice must be respected. Elias listened, taking mental notes. Every argument, every subtle gesture, was part of the intricate web of Zitharian politics. He would have to learn quickly to navigate this world if he hoped to protect Kiro and maintain peace. When the first meeting ended, Elias and Kiro were left alone in a quiet chamber. High above the main hall, sunlight filtered through the crystalline windows, painting patterns of color on the walls. Elias looked at Kiro, unsure how to start. Do you really mean what you said? He asked softly. Kiro nodded. Yes, you are my father. And now, we have work to do. Elias felt a strange mix of fear and determination. He had never imagined that his life would take such a turn. Diplomacy had always been complicated, but nothing could compare to guiding and protecting a child who might hold the key to interstellar. Peace, I don't know how to do this, Elias admitted. Kiro's small hand squeezed his. You will learn. Together, we will be strong. Outside, the wind of the twin suns stirred the palace towers. Inside, the walls seemed to hum with energy, as if the very building recognized the importance of this moment. A human and a Zitharian child, bound by an invisible thread of fate, were about to step into a future that neither could have predicted. As Elias looked down at the glowing patterns on the floor, he realized that he had entered a world of wonders and dangers beyond imagination. He would have to be brave, wise, and patient. But with Kiro by his side, he knew that anything was possible, and in that silence, as the court had first gone still, Elias understood one thing clearly: nothing would ever be the same again. The adventure had just begun. The morning light filtered through the crystal walls of the Zitharian palace, casting soft patterns across the polished floors. Captain Elias Varine sat quietly in the private chamber, staring at Kiro, the child who had called him father, in front of the entire court. Every movement of the child seemed deliberate, as though Kiro understood more than any human could imagine. Kiro looked back at him with large, intelligent eyes. We have much to learn, the child said softly, not just about each other, but about the world we live in. Elias nodded slowly, still trying to process the events of the previous day. The court had accepted, reluctantly, that Kiro recognized him as a father figure. The queen had been clear. The child's words were tied to something ancient, prophecy that had been recorded in Zitharian texts centuries ago. What exactly is this prophecy? Elias asked, leaning forward. Kiro's gaze became distant, thoughtful. The texts speak of a bridge between worlds. A human and a child of the Zitharian queen will come together. Together, they will help to civilizations understand each other and prevent war. That is me. That is why I called you father. Elias swallowed hard. The idea was almost unbelievable. He had trained his whole life to navigate danger, to handle tense situations, but nothing in his training could prepare him for this. He was not just a diplomat anymore. He was now tied to the future of an entire civilization and perhaps more than one. We must be careful, Kiro continued. Not everyone will understand. Some may see me as a threat, others as a tool. We have to be ready for anything. Elias nodded, determination settling into his chest. Then we start by learning. Teach me, Kiro. Teach me everything you know about the prophecy and your people. The child smiled. I will, Father. But first, you must understand Zithirian culture. It is a world of honor, tradition, and careful thought. The court does not act without reason. Even if they seem harsh at times, Elias spent the next hours studying ancient Zithirian texts with Kiro. The language was complex, full of symbols that seemed to shift and glow as if alive. With Kiro's help, he began to understand the meanings hidden within the words. The prophecy was clear in one sense. A union between a human and a child of the Queen would create a bridge for understanding and cooperation. But the text also warned that failure could bring distrust and war. It is not just words, Kiro said. It is a guide. The child, the human, and the Queen must act together with wisdom and courage. That is why the court reacted the way they did. They recognized something important. Elias realized that Kiro was right. The court's silence when the child called him father had been more than shock. It had been recognition of destiny. The weight of responsibility pressed on him. But instead of fear, he felt a strange sense of purpose. As the hours passed, a servant arrived with a message. Queen Myrrh requested an audience with Elias and Kiro. The child took Elias's hand and led him through the glowing halls to the throne room. When they entered, the court had gathered again, their faces a mixture of curiosity and tension. Queen Myrrh stood, her silver skin shimmering in the sunlight. She regarded Elias carefully. You have spent the day learning about our culture, she said. Have you begun to understand what it means to be a bridge? Elias straightened. Yes, Your Majesty. I understand that this is not just about words or ceremonies. It is about trust, courage, and respect. Kiro and I are ready to do what is necessary. The Queen's eyes softened slightly. Good, but the path ahead will not be easy. There are factions within our court who will resist this union. Some will try to use Kiro for their own gain. Others will see you as an outsider, unworthy of guiding the child. Elias nodded. He had anticipated political challenges, but hearing it directly from the Queen made the danger real. He also realized that Kiro would be at the center of every conflict, every scheme. Protecting the child would be as important as fulfilling the prophecy itself. You must learn quickly, the Queen continued, and you must act with clarity. The balance of our worlds may depend on you. After the audience, Elias and Kiro retreated to a quieter chamber. The child's small hand rested in his. Do you think we can do it, Father? Kiro asked, a hint of worry in their voice. Elias knelt slightly to meet the child's gaze. We have to, Kiro. There is no other choice. But remember, we are a team. We protect each other. We learn from each other. And together, we will face whatever comes. Kiro nodded. I will follow your guidance, but you must follow mine too. My people and I have abilities that you cannot imagine. We can see, hear, and sense things differently. You must trust me. Elias smiled. Then we have a plan. You teach me your ways. I teach you mine. Together, we become stronger. Over the next days, Elias immersed himself in Zithirian life. He learned their customs, their etiquette, their language, and even their combat techniques. Though he was a trained human soldier, Zithirian martial arts were unlike anything he had practiced. The moves were precise, almost like a dance, but powerful and effective. Kiro guided him patiently, correcting mistakes and offering advice meanwhile. Kiro learned from Elias as well. They listened to stories of human history, of courage and resilience. They laughed at human jokes, attempted to eat human food, and asked endless questions about Earth and humanity. The bond between them grew, deeper than either had expected. One evening, as they practiced in a quiet courtyard filled with glowing flora, a sudden alert reached the palace. Sensors had detected an unknown ship approaching the Zitherian system. The Queen summoned Elias and Kiro immediately. The ship entered orbit, sleek and dark. Unlike any design Elias had seen, its presence was ominous, and the court responded with tension. Queen Myrrah addressed her council. This vessel is not recognized. It may carry a threat or a message. Prepare defenses, but do not attack without cause. Elias studied the ship from the observation deck. It could be an enemy, he said quietly, or it could be someone seeking the child. We need to be cautious. Kiro's small hand squeezed his. Do not worry. We are ready. I can sense their intentions. Elias glanced at Kiro in amazement. The child's abilities went beyond intelligence. They could sense, perceive, and understand things that humans could not. He realized that the prophecy had not only recognized their bond, but had also highlighted Kiro's extraordinary potential. When the unknown ship landed in the palace docking bay, a delegation emerged. They were alien, tall and armored, their faces hidden behind reflective masks. The court gathered, wary and tense. The delegation's leaders stepped forward and spoke, their voice amplified by the ship's technology. We come in peace, the alien said. We have heard of the child of the Zitherian Queen and the human who stands beside them. We wish to observe and learn, to understand the bridge you are creating. The court murmured. Some nobles whispered in suspicion, others in curiosity. Elias felt Kiro's hand tighten in his, a silent reminder that they must be careful. Queen Myrrah raised her hand for silence. You may enter our court, she said, but understand this, Kiro is not a tool, and no human or alien will use them for their own purposes. You will respect that, or face consequences. The delegation bowed slightly. We understand, they replied. As they were led into the chamber, Elias whispered to Kiro, this is just the beginning. The prophecy is becoming real, and the challenges are only starting. Kiro nodded. Yes, Father. And together, we will face them. Elias looked out the window at the twin suns setting over the palace towers. The sky was painted with colors no human eye had ever seen. He realized that the journey ahead was filled with danger, mystery, and hope. The child who had called him father was not only a key to peace, but a reminder that courage, intelligence, and heart could shape the destiny of worlds. And in that moment, Elias understood something deeply. The prophecy was not just about Kiro, or about him, or even about the Zitherians. It was about the future of all civilizations, the possibility that two very different worlds could come together, guided by understanding, trust, and unity. He turned back to Kiro, ready to face whatever the universe had in store. We have work to do, he said. Kiro smiled. And we will do it together, Father. The Zitherian court was alive with murmurs and whispered conversations. Captain Elias Varine walked beside Kiro through the grand corridors of the palace, his mind alert and his senses sharp. Though the prophecy was guiding them, not everyone in the court welcomed their bond. Some nobles viewed Elias as an outsider, unworthy of sharing power or influence with the queen's child. Others were quietly envious of the attention Kiro gave him. Father, Kiro whispered, tugging gently at Elias's sleeve. They are watching us closely. Some do not like you being near me, Elias nodded. He had noticed the subtle glances, the flickers of disapproval, and the careful arrangement of officials and meetings. The court was a living organism, each member guarding their influence, ready to pounce on weakness. But Elias also knew that human diplomacy, combined with courage, could make even the most skeptical leaders pause. Do not worry, Kiro, he said quietly. We have the truth on our side. We just have to be careful. Their first meeting of the day was with a council of nobles. The chamber was long and narrow, with seats carved from polished stone. Holographic maps floated above the center table, showing the Zitherian system and neighboring star systems. The council's leader, a tall Zitherian named Vorth, eyed Elias with suspicion. You claim to understand our ways, Vorth said, his voice smooth but sharp. And yet, you are human. How can a human comprehend the needs of a Zitherian child, one destined to unite worlds? Elias met his gaze steadily. I may be human, but I have experience with understanding others. Kiro and I are learning together. I will listen, I will observe, and I will act with care. My goal is peace, not power." A murmur passed through the council. Some nobles nodded in cautious approval, while others clenched their hands in frustration. Vorth's eyes narrowed. "We shall see if your words hold true. The bridge you claim to build is fragile. One misstep, and the court will suffer." Kiro spoke up, their small voice calm but firm. "I know who my father is. He has shown me courage and wisdom. He will guide me, and together we can bring understanding to everyone. Do not doubt him." The council went silent. The child's words carried authority far beyond their size or age. Even Vorth hesitated, as if realizing that the prophecy had chosen wisely. Elias placed a reassuring hand on Kiro's shoulder after the council meeting. Elias and Kiro returned to their chambers. The child's small hand rested in his, a constant reminder that they were a team. "They are plotting," Kiro said softly. "I can sense envy and fear. Some want to control me, to use me as a weapon." Elias frowned. "Then we need to be ready. Knowledge is our first defense. If we understand their plans, we can act before they strike." Over the next few days, Elias observed the court carefully. He noted secret conversations, exchanged glances, and coded gestures among the nobles. Some sought his attention under the guise of diplomacy, while others whispered threats behind closed doors. Elias realized that the court was a minefield. One wrong move, one careless word, and the delicate balance could collapse. Kiro, however, was not just a child. Their abilities were extraordinary. They could anticipate danger, sense intentions, and even project subtle images of possible outcomes. Elias marveled at the child's intellect and intuition. Together, they began to strategize. Kiro would use their abilities to gather information, while Elias applied human reasoning and diplomacy to interpret it. One evening, as they studied holographic data in the quiet of the chamber, a sudden alert rang through the palace. Sensors had detected movement in a restricted area near the palace archives. The alarm was subtle, almost undetectable, but Kiro's senses had already noticed, "Someone is here." The child said quietly, "They are not here to learn or negotiate. They want to steal information about me, about the prophecy." Elias's hand went to the sidearm at his belt. "Then we stop them. Stay close, Kiro." They moved silently through the shadowed corridors, Kiro leading with uncanny awareness. Around a corner, they saw the figures attempting to access a secure chamber. They were armed and masked, moving quickly but cautiously. Elias stepped forward, his voice firm. "Stop! You are in violation of palace security. Leave now, or face consequences." The intruders froze, clearly not expecting resistance from a human. Kiro extended a hand, and a soft, glowing field appeared, subtly projecting images that disoriented the intruders. Confused, they stumbled backward, giving Elias the advantage. In a few precise movements, he disarmed them and restrained them with secure bindings. The child's eyes shone. "You were calm and precise, Father. I am proud of you." Elias smiled, though his heart still raced. "We make a good team, Kiro, but this shows how serious the court's threats are. We must be vigilant at all times." The next morning, news of the attempted intrusion reached the queen. She summoned Elias and Kiro to her private chambers. Her expression was stern, but there was pride in her eyes. "You acted well," she said to Elias. "You protected Kiro and the court without causing harm. That is admirable. But this is only the beginning. There are those who will not stop. Some want the prophecy to fail. Some wish to control Kiro for themselves. You must be prepared." Elias nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty. We will be ready. The child and I are a team. No one will harm them while I am here." The queen's gaze softened as she looked at Kiro. "You have chosen your human wisely. Trust is rare in our world, and courage rarer still. Remember, Kiro, the path you walk is dangerous, but necessary. Together, you can change the future." After leaving the queen, Elias and Kiro continued their training and studies. Kiro's abilities became clearer. They could interpret multiple languages instantly, project detailed mental images, and sense intentions. Elias realized that Kiro was not only a child of prophecy, but a being capable of guiding the human, as much as the human guided them. As the days passed, the factions within the court became bolder. One noble, Lyron, tried to spread rumors questioning Elias's loyalty, claiming that humans could never understand Zitherian culture. Others attempted subtle sabotage, misplacing important documents or spreading misinformation. Elias noticed everything. He remained calm, knowing that reaction without thought could play into their hands. One evening, Kiro turned to him. "They underestimate you, Father. They do not see your value, but I do. And together, we will show them that courage, intelligence, and honesty matter more than titles or birthright." Elias felt a warmth in his chest. The child's confidence was infectious. "You are right, Kiro. We will show them, not with force, but with truth and strength of character." Then came the most dangerous moment. A secret faction within the court attempted an assassination. During a ceremonial gathering, a hidden mechanism fired a small energy projectile toward Kiro. Elias acted instantly. Using a combination of speed and precision, he deflected the attack with his shield. Catching the intruder before they could escape, the court erupted in chaos. But Elias remained focused, holding Kiro close. The Queen's guards moved quickly to secure the area. The intruder, a high-ranking noble, was revealed. Their betrayal shocked many, but it also highlighted the reality of the threats facing them. Elias turned to Kiro. "Do you see? This is why we must be careful, why we must plan. We cannot allow fear or anger to guide us. Only clarity and courage will keep us safe." Kiro nodded, their small face serious. "And we will face it together, Father. I trust you." The Queen addressed the court afterward, her voice steady and commanding. "Let it be known that Captain Elias Varine has protected the child of the prophecy. Let all who seek to harm the bridge between worlds think again. Courage and loyalty will be rewarded. Treachery will not succeed." Elias felt a mix of relief and resolve. He had earned a measure of respect, but the battle for trust and understanding in the court was far from over. He knew that alliances would have to be formed carefully, that every gesture and word could carry weight. Yet, he also understood something deeper. Kiro's presence and abilities could change not just the court, but the course of history itself. That night, as the palace lights dimmed and the twin suns set behind the crystal towers, Elias and Kiro walked together along the upper terraces. The sky was painted in shades of gold and violet, reflecting in the distant waters of the palace gardens. "Do you think we are ready for what comes next?" Elias asked. Kiro looked up at him with a steady gaze. "We will be ready, Father. We have each other, and that is enough. Together, we can face anything." Elias smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility, but also the strength of partnership. In the quiet of the night, with the city of the Zitherians glowing below, he realized that the prophecy was not a burden, but a path where courage, intelligence, and heart could change the future. And in that moment, Elias Varine understood fully that the journey ahead would be filled with danger, intrigue, and challenges beyond imagination, but he also knew that he and Kiro would face them side by side, unshakable and determined to build a bridge between worlds. The morning sun glinted off the polished hull of Elias Varine's starship as it stood ready on the Zitherian palace docking bay. Kiro stood beside him, small but full of quiet determination. Today, they will leave the safety of the palace and travel to distant Zitherian worlds, seeking answers about Kiro's origin and the prophecy that had brought them together. Elias adjusted his uniform, checking the ship's instruments. He had studied maps, star charts, and ancient Zitherian records. The journey would be long and dangerous, but he had learned to trust Kiro's instincts, and they had learned to trust his experience. Together, they made a team stronger than any individual. "Are you ready, Father?" Kiro asked, their voice steady. Elias smiled. "As ready as I'll ever be. Let's see what the universe has in store for us." The ship lifted smoothly, gliding away from the palace towers. Below them, the city of the Zitherians shimmered in the morning light, a reminder of the life they were temporarily leaving behind. As the engines hummed, Elias glanced at Kiro. "Do you remember what we discussed about staying alert?" Kiro nodded. "I will sense danger. I will watch the crew, the ship, and the stars. But you must guide me too. We will face it together. Their first stop was a planet called Varelia, a distant world known for its ancient archives and libraries. It was said that the origins of many Zitherian prophecies were recorded there. Elias and Kiro hoped to find clues about how the prophecy had started, and why Kiro's existence was so significant. As they entered Varelia's orbit, Elias could see the planet below. Its surface was covered in towering spires of crystal and forests of luminescent flora. The planet glowed softly, even from space, giving it a mystical appearance. "It's beautiful," Elias whispered. Kiro's eyes sparkled. "Yes, and it holds answers we need. But we must tread carefully. Knowledge on this world is protected, and not everyone welcomes strangers." The landing was smooth, and the pair disembarked onto the glowing streets of Varelia's capital city. Strange creatures moved among the crystalline buildings, their forms delicate and graceful. The air was thick with the scent of alien plants, sweet and unfamiliar. Elias felt a sense of awe, but he remained alert. Every step they took could carry unseen dangers. They reached the Grand Archive, a massive structure carved from white crystal and silver metal. Inside, holographic records floated in the air, some as old as the Zitherian civilization itself. Scholars and archivists moved quietly, studying the data streams and consulting texts that Elias could barely comprehend. A tall Varelian archivist approached them, her skin a soft shade of blue, her eyes glowing faintly. "You are far from the palace," she said. "Why do you seek our archives?" Elias stepped forward, his voice steady. "I am Captain Elias Varine of Earth, and this is Kiro, the child of Queen Myrrah. We seek knowledge about a prophecy concerning this child. We wish to understand it fully, so we may protect peace between our worlds." The archivist regarded them carefully. "The prophecy is old and complex. Many have tried to interpret it, and many have failed. The child is said to hold potential beyond any single race. You must be wise, and you must act with care." Kiro's small hand touched the floating records. Images and symbols swirled around them, connecting in patterns that only the child could read fully. "These are pieces of the story," Kiro said. "We must find the key to understanding it, and fast. Others may try to interfere." As they studied the archives, Elias noticed shadows moving outside the windows. He realized that not all on Varelia were friendly. Some factions had heard of Kiro's journey and saw an opportunity to seize the child. For their own purposes, he subtly activated the ship's communications, preparing for a quick departure if needed. Hours turned into days as they pored over the records. Kiro's abilities allowed them to decode texts faster than any human or Zitherian scholar. Slowly, they began to uncover the truth. Kiro's conception had been part of an experiment long planned by the Queen's advisors, intended to create a being capable of bridging worlds. The child inherited the best traits of both humans and Zitherians: intelligence, empathy, courage, and adaptability. "This explains so much," Elias said quietly. "Your abilities, your connection to the prophecy. It was meant to be." Kiro nodded. "Yes, but knowledge alone is not enough. We must learn how to use it, and how to protect it. Others may try to stop us." Their time on Varelia was interrupted when the same shadows they had noticed earlier made their move. A group of armed beings attempted to enter the Grand Archive, seeking the records. Elias quickly assessed the situation. "Kiro, stay close. We need to be careful and smart." The child projected a faint glowing barrier around them, subtly disorienting the intruders. Elias used his tactical training to guide them through hidden corridors, avoiding direct confrontation. They reached the ship, and with Kiro's help, they lifted off the planet just as the intruders reached the landing zone. "Quick thinking," Kiro said, panting slightly. "You acted without hesitation." Elias smiled, though his mind raced. "We must always be ready. Danger is part of this journey, but so is discovery. We cannot let fear control us." Their next destination was DEATHWORLD, a remote world known for its ancient temples and long-forgotten laboratories. Legend said that the earliest Zitherian experiments with human civilizations had been recorded there. The journey was long, and the ship traveled through asteroid belts and regions of space rich with cosmic storms. Elias piloted carefully, trusting Chiro's guidance and instincts. On DEATHWORLD, the planet's surface was rugged and covered in jagged crystal formations. The air was thin, and strange creatures lurked in the shadows. They found a hidden temple, partially buried, with symbols similar to those Chiro had seen in the Verilian archives. Inside, they discovered devices and records detailing the early plans for Chiro's creation. "These are the beginnings," Chiro said, running small fingers over the glowing panels. They wanted someone who could think like a human, feel like a human, but also use Zitherian abilities. They wanted balance. Elias nodded, absorbing the weight of the revelation. "And you are the result? But you are more than an experiment, Chiro. You are a bridge, a symbol, and a living proof that two civilizations can come together." Their exploration was not without danger. Automated defense systems, long inactive but still operational, activated when they entered the deeper chambers. Laser grids, traps, and warning systems tested their speed and intellect. Elias protected Chiro at every turn, guiding them through the hazards. Chiro's abilities allowed them to anticipate dangers and neutralize obstacles, making them an incredible partner in both knowledge and survival. After hours of careful navigation, they reached the central chamber. In the heart of the temple, a holographic projection of the ancient Zitherian scientists appeared. The message was clear. They had envisioned Chiro as a being of unity, a symbol of hope for the galaxy. "This confirms everything," Elias said softly. "You were meant to be here, to fulfill this role." Chiro nodded, their eyes filled with understanding. "Yes, Father, but now I see that our journey is far from over. We must return to the court prepared. We must be ready for those who do not want peace." Elias took a deep breath. "And we will, together." As they prepared to leave DEATHWORLD, Elias looked at the stars beyond the temple. He realized that the universe was vast, full of wonders and dangers, but also full of possibilities. With Chiro by his side, he felt confident that they could face any challenge. Their journey back to the Zitherian court was quiet but tense. Both Elias and Chiro reflected on what they had learned. The child's origin, the prophecy, and the intentions of the Queen's ancestors were now clearer. But the path ahead was still uncertain. Enemies could strike at any time, and factions within the court remained suspicious. Yet, in that quiet moment, Elias felt hope. They had discovered knowledge, strengthened their bond, and proven their courage. The prophecy was not just words on a page, it was alive, guiding them toward a future that they could shape together. As they approached the Zitherian palace once more, the twin suns reflected off the ship's hull, casting light across the corridors. Chiro looked up at Elias. "Are you ready for what comes next?" Elias smiled, placing a hand on the child's shoulder. "I am ready, father and child together. We have learned, we have grown, and now we return stronger than before. Whatever awaits, we will face it side by side." And with that, their ship descended toward the palace, carrying not just the travelers, but the hope of two civilizations, bound together by trust, courage, and a prophecy that promised a new era. The Zitherian palace gleamed beneath the light of the twin suns as Captain Elias Varen's starship descended into the docking bay. Chiro stood beside him, calm and composed, their small hand resting in Elias's. They had returned from Varelia and DEATHWORLD with knowledge that could change the course of history. But knowledge alone was not enough. They would need courage, patience, and the ability to unite those who had long been divided. As they entered the great hall, the court awaited them. The nobles and scholars whispered among themselves, the tension in the room palpable. Some eyes were wary, suspicious of the humans' return. Others glimmered with hope, sensing that something important had happened during the journey. Elias took a deep breath, standing tall beside Chiro, and faced the council. Queen Myrrah rose from her throne, her silver skin shimmering in the sunlight. "Captain Elias Varen and Chiro have returned," she announced. "They carry knowledge and experience gained from worlds far beyond our own. Let all hear them and consider what they bring." A murmur swept through the hall. Elias stepped forward, feeling the weight of many eyes upon him. He looked down at Chiro, who nodded in silent encouragement. Elias's voice was steady, carrying across the room. "We have traveled to distant worlds." Elias began. "We have studied archives, temples, and records that reveal the origins of the prophecy concerning Kiro. We have learned not only about the child's abilities, but also about the importance of understanding, cooperation, and trust between our peoples. This prophecy is not a burden, it is a guide. It shows a path toward unity, toward peace." Some nobles shifted uneasily, not used to a human addressing them with such confidence. Vorth, the council leader who had questioned Elias before, narrowed his eyes. But Elias did not falter. He continued, his tone calm but firm. "Kiro is not just a child of prophecy," Elias said. "Kiro is a symbol of what our civilizations can achieve together. The child carries the strengths of both humans and Zitharians' wisdom, courage, intelligence, and compassion. It is not enough to admire these qualities. We must act on them." Kiro stepped forward, their small figure commanding the attention of all in the room. "I have learned from my father," Kiro said. "We have seen the worlds beyond our own, and we understand what must be done. The bridge between humans and Zitharians is real, and it depends on all of us working together. We cannot allow fear or pride to divide us. Together, we can create a future where all civilizations thrive." The room fell silent. The words of the child carried weight far beyond their age. Even Vorth hesitated, realizing that the prophecy's truth was being revealed before their eyes. Suddenly, a faction of nobles rose, attempting to challenge Elias and Kiro. "This human is an outsider," one shouted. "You cannot trust him. He does not belong in our court." Elias held up a hand, his voice steady. "I am not here to take your place or challenge your traditions. I am here to guide and protect Kiro, to help fulfill a prophecy that belongs to all of us. Look at the facts. Look at what we have learned. Kiro's existence proves that cooperation is possible. Trust is not given, it is earned. And I intend to earn it." The queen's voice rang out, strong and clear. "Silence," she commanded. The room fell quiet. "This council has seen courage and wisdom demonstrated. Let it be known that those who seek to divide us now face the truth of our unity. Captain Elias Farin stands with Kiro, and together they carry the future of our worlds." Vorth looked around the room, his stern face softening. He recognized the truth in their words. Other nobles began to nod slowly, acknowledging the reality of the prophecy and the significance of Elias and Kiro's journey. Some who had opposed them now stepped forward, offering cautious support. Elias glanced at Kiro. "The court is listening," he whispered. "We have a chance to bring everyone together." Kiro nodded. "Yes, father, but we must show them, not just tell them. Actions matter more than words." The queen gestured toward the council. "You will witness that courage, loyalty, and wisdom are stronger than fear. Elias, Kiro, show us what you have learned." Elias took a deep breath and began explaining the knowledge they had gained from Varelia and DEATHWORLD. He described the archives, the temples, the devices, and the records that detailed the prophecy. He showed how the child had been designed to bridge worlds, inheriting the best traits of both humans and Zitharians. Kiro demonstrated their abilities carefully, projecting holographic images of their travels, the dangers they faced, and the discoveries they had made. The court watched in awe as the child's intelligence and insight became clear. The prophecy was no longer a distant legend, it was real, and it was unfolding before their eyes. "See," Elias said, turning to the council, "Kiro is not a tool, a weapon, or a pawn. Kiro is a being who can teach us, guide us, and unite us. We have traveled together, faced danger together, and learned together. This is the future of our worlds, humans and Zitharians standing together, strong, wise, and united." The murmurs in the court shifted from skepticism to admiration. The nobles began to understand that the child and Elias were not threats. They were the embodiment of hope, courage, and unity. Queen Myrrh stood, her presence radiant and commanding. "Let it be known that Captain Elias Farin is recognized not only as Kiro's protector, but also as a bridge between our peoples. Let all who doubt the prophecy see that it has chosen wisely. Today, we take a step toward unity that will be remembered for generations." The room erupted in applause. a sound that echoed through the great hall. Even those who had opposed Elias and Kiro could not deny the truth. The prophecy had been fulfilled in action, in courage, and in the bond between human and child. Elias felt a surge of pride and relief. The journey had been difficult, filled with danger, uncertainty, and political intrigue. But now, seeing the court stand united, he understood the value of persistence, courage, and trust. Kiro looked up at him with a small smile. "We did it, Father," the child said softly. "Together, we have shown them what is possible." Elias knelt to meet Kiro's gaze. "No, Kiro, you did it. You showed them with your courage, wisdom, and heart. I only guided you. Together, we made the difference." Queen Myrrah stepped forward, placing a hand on Kiro's shoulder. "You have fulfilled what the prophecy promised. But more importantly, you have taught us all that courage, compassion, and understanding matter more than birthright, titles, or fear. Today, we move into a new era." The court erupted again, the applause louder this time, filled with genuine respect and admiration. Elias and Kiro stood side by side, a human and a child of prophecy, united in purpose and symbolizing the future of their worlds. As the celebrations continued, Elias looked out of the palace window. The twin suns of the Zitherian system shone brightly, casting long rays across the towers and streets. He realized that the journey ahead would still have challenges, but the path had been set. Together, they could face whatever came next. Kiro tugged gently at his hand. "Father, do you see? This is just the beginning. We have shown them what is possible. Now, we must continue to guide, to teach, and to protect peace." Elias nodded, a sense of determination settling over him. "Yes, Kiro. Together, we will continue. The prophecy is not only about the past, it is about the future, and we will shape it with courage, intelligence, and heart." The child's small hand squeezed his. "And we will do it together, Father. Always." That night, as the palace quieted and the city below glimmered in soft light, Elias and Kiro stood on the upper terrace. The stars stretched across the sky, vast and infinite. They had faced danger, political intrigue, and uncertainty. They had traveled to distant worlds and uncovered ancient secrets. And now, they had returned victorious, having united the court and fulfilled a prophecy that had waited for centuries. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the cool air and the weight of history around them. "We have done much, Kiro, but there is still more to learn. The galaxy is large, and we must be ready for anything." Kiro looked up at him, their eyes bright with determination. "Then we will face it together, Father. No matter what comes, we have each other, and that is enough." Elias smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride and hope. The child's words echoed in his mind. Together, anything is possible. And as the twin suns set, casting golden light across the palace, Elias realized that the bridge between worlds had been built not by prophecy alone, but by courage, trust, and the bond between a human and the child who called him Father. The future was bright, and for the first time, he understood that true strength lay not in power or skill alone, but in heart unity, and the willingness to believe in something greater than oneself. In that moment, the court, the palace, and the galaxy beyond seemed to pause, recognizing the new era that had begun. And Elias, with Kiro by his side, knew that whatever challenges awaited, they would face them together undaunted, unwavering, and united.